This podcast is produced by OnPod, a video content studio near you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're here with Attianna. How are you doing?
I'm good. And you?
That's good. I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah.
So she's the owner and operator of Fluentry language consultancy. So we'll just jump right into the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Fluentry puts a unique spin on learning and practicing new languages. What's your approach and how does it differ from traditional classroom or app-based learning?
Yeah. So traditional classrooms, they focus on like textbook knowledge. Like we have to read through, like we have to do these activities. We have to do this. We do the boring role plays. If I had $1 for every role play we had to do in a cafe where you're ordering a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. I've been through those, yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, that is the regular classroom traditional learning.
Mm-hmm.
Apps, of course, they're good. I mean, Duolingo, I have a Duolingo stream. So it's like, it's good to just do some things that you would forget normally over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good for beginners, but it's still something to do. If I have to play a game, why not make it Duolingo instead of like Candy Crush? No hate to Candy Crush. Yeah. But in comparison, what Fluentry does is we take all of that and we turn it into real life learning. So real life scenarios, you're with a language coach who's a native French speaker, because right now our main focus is French. And yeah, you have live conversations with those coaches. We also host like immersion events. So for example, last year we hosted Parley and Paint. And we got like a native French speaking artist who led a workshop on abstract art. And like, it was so fun. It was like a whole thing. But we try to bring language learning to real life versus just being in a classroom, being bored. We're all adults. I don't know about you. I am so tired at the end of the workday. To sit in a classroom or do something like that, I'm just not excited. So if there's a way to make language learning fun, let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to do anything at the end of the day. But,
Exactly.
right. Adding like art or culture to it is perfect.
Exactly.
Nice.
A fun twist.
Yeah. So on your website, you have a learning style quiz.
Mm-hmm.
How did you develop that and how is it used to help people progress?
Yeah. So I actually developed that quiz with AI.
Okay.
So I'm a huge fan of this digital course creator in the US. Her name is Amy Porterfield. And she used how I knew her business was because she had a quiz. Like, are you a course creator? And I was like, let me try this. Because at one point I was offering courses and I was like, let me see if like what this would give me as a result. Mm-hmm. And I did the quiz and I actually liked it. So I was like, okay, let me follow her along, listen to her podcast, everything like that. I eventually, like when I was about to launch the Language Society, which is our new product inside Fluentry, I was like, you know what, let's try a quiz because everybody has a different learning style. So we had 4 different learning styles. I don't remember all the names right now. But one of them was like fluentish flexor. So you'll start talking in French in a conversation. You might forget a few words, but like you'll keep the conversation going and you love to learn by like immersing yourself and like meeting people, who speak the language and that kind of thing. And so as I said, I created it with AI, with ChatGPT, and then I personalized it to like things that I would prefer to see in it. And then in the end, how it helps people is it helps you to understand like how you really learn a language. So for example, as I said, one of them mentioned that you love to focus on like cultural immersion. Mm-hmm. So if that person is trying to learn in a classroom or in a textbook, that you might not strive there, like you might not do well there because it's just not your learning style. Mm-hmm. While you might have to go out and find different activities that will help you to become, knowledgeable in the language and learn new vocabulary, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So that's the best way to use the quiz. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I did take the quiz and I think, I don't remember exactly what I was, but it was definitely more along the lines of I needed to be in a group and practice the language. Yes. So I think it would be a cool quiz to take if you wanted to learn a language. So you've lived, studies, and worked in different countries like Jamaica, Canada, and Panama. Mm-hmm. How has cultural immersion shaped your own language abilities? And would you recommend people just jump into that?
I would say yes, you can jump into it because in each of these countries, they offer like a beginner's course that Like you have different programs that you can do beginners courses. So for example, when I went to France as a language assistant, that was different because I went like I was working part-time at a high school and like an elementary school. Right. But yeah, so that was like working. But in each of these countries, like if you search for a program, an immersion program, you can go there as a beginner, explore the culture and the society while also getting beginners classes. So I would say that people can do this from scratch, like you can jump in. It was very helpful with my degree in university. So my Spanish, like I was getting D's, like I wasn't doing too great. And like I've been studying Spanish for so many years. So it was so disappointing when I saw that performance. And a friend of mine told me that, hey, this professor told her about this program. Her daughter went to do it in Panama a couple years ago and it's good. It's still happening. You get to live with a host family. They make you dinner and everything. And you get to go to school in the days, like from Mondays to Thursdays, I believe. So you get Fridays to roam and explore the city. And yeah, we did courses. But when I came back from that experience, mind blown. Like I passed Spanish with ease. Like I had conversations. I was starting conversations. And a lot of people in my year group struggled with that because most of us were just learning textbook Spanish, right? So I do believe that doing language immersion in the country is so beneficial if you're learning a language. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like even myself, I took French immersion for like 11 years. I can't speak French to this day. And it's one thing to do something in the textbook and, you know, get all your verbs right. Yeah. But it's another thing to actually pull those words out of your head organically. So I think,
exactly.
Yeah, that would help a lot. Nice. So often language and culture go hand in hand. How does cultural understanding improve communication beyond just grammar and vocabulary?
Yeah, because I mean, if in a culture, I mean, outside of just the two languages I've studied as well, which is French and Spanish, like just knowing culture in general, knowing what to do and what not to do is very important. So like and even outside of just being rude, for example, if you go to Paris and you fais la bise, which is mwah, mwah, right? Like there's a certain amount of number, like there's a number of times like that you're supposed to do it. So in the south of France, it's, I don't even remember right now. It's probably 4 times that you have to do it. So you go, mwah, 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 mwah. And then in Paris, you know, you do it at different times. So like, that's a very fun part of the culture to learn as well. But of course, there are other things too that you have to know where if you don't do it, you're seen as rude or entitled. So you go into a cafe and you're just like, un café s'il vous plaît. And there's no bonjour. They're like, bonjour, you know, like manners. Yeah. Which is so good, like, exactly. So, you know, like, yeah, just culturally, like culture is important then. Yeah. Where, you know, with the language. Yeah. Which immersion would help. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And I'm sure you could even use that here. Like, I feel like we have so many different cultures within Canada.
True.
So it'd be nice to, you know, connect more with people that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
So can you share a moment from your travels or work where cultural awareness has completely changed the outcome of a conversation?
Yeah. I think it's probably, I went over to a friend's house when I was living in Lyon, and she's from Algeria. Okay. But she moved to Lyon, and we were all just sitting and chilling, and like we were sharing a meal. And then in Algerian culture, or probably North African culture, they do the hookah and they pass it around. Yeah. But like in my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's supposed to have like a different tip, right, for everyone. Okay. And like so, whenever it was passed to me, I was kind of like taking a napkin and wiping it off, and you know, like. And she was like, oh, no. In our culture, like she was explaining it in French. She was like, no, in our culture, everyone is one. We're a community. We all eat and we don't, you know, do that. We don't worry about things like that. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and like you take those things and you move on with them. So it's always so good to meet people too from different cultures. It really just like opens your eyes, you know, and like it's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then like when you're in that situation, it kind of teaches you how to take those nudges with grace too.
Yes,
because there's always something you don't know and you got to go with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So you focus on language lovers from native English speaking countries who are often, they're overlooked in language related employment programs. Why do you think that bias exists?
It exists because, for example, I'm from Jamaica. If that program with France didn't exist between or like government, I probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity to do that. So for example, I have a friend from Antigua. She was coming to my university in Jamaica. However, she didn't qualify for that program because her government and France didn't have that relationship, right?
Okay.
So that was kind of unfortunate because she did a degree in French too. Like, so, and to not get that opportunity like everyone else kind of sucked, you know? But the bias comes from the fact that they don't see us as like native English speakers. When people hear us speak English and you're from Jamaica, they're like, oh, wow, you know, like you speak English pretty well. Like, well,
been speaking it for a long time.
Right? Yeah. Like that's the language you speak. So, yeah, I find that most of the countries like Spain or, because Colombia, we do have English speakers from Jamaica who go there to like teach English. But so for example, Spain, France, and a few other countries, they would say like if you're from the UK or if you're from New Zealand, Australia, they prefer to like recruit you, or Canada as well. Like they recruit you first versus people from other islands or other countries that speak English, but they don't really know. So I think that bias is just because they're like, we don't think they speak English, or maybe it's because they don't want our way of speaking English. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do try to help people in those countries like to realize that there are opportunities out there still, because a lot of these countries will still hire you. It's just that they don't know. And a lot of times it's just like, you know, when you don't know, you just don't know. That's the situation. Yeah.
So you kind of like help them find the right way to apply?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, you know, this program exists in Spain that you can do, you know, like, because a lot of people want to work in different countries, but they just don't know. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Find a way to bypass that systemic stuff. And,
exactly. Yeah. And you're good to go. Yeah.
Nice. So you partner with companies that actually aid language immersion in foreign countries, like France and Spain.
Yes.
What does that process look like, and what major differences have you seen in learners after the fact?
So I haven't really had much experience with it because not a lot of people go for it because it is an expensive like process. So I do see where people like will go overseas to France, for example, and it's for like 2 weeks and they come back so confident because you're speaking, you probably weren't even making any sense. But people understood you and they responded in French. And you're like, oh, wow, I'm onto something here. And all of a sudden you go back home and people are talking to you and like, you know, confidence. Same for me when I went to Panama. When I came back, like in Jamaica at the time, we had people who would like buy, it was like cash for gold. Okay. So it's like any jewelry you have inside, we'll buy it from you. And like, there was one person there who spoke Spanish. I believe she came from Colombia, or it was probably Panama too. And like, she was having like a little side conversation with someone in Spanish. And I understood. And I was like, Mom, I got it. And this is after my Panama trip, you know? So it's like the confidence that comes with immersion is indescribable. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. I'm like thinking about this now. It's if you want to take a trip and like learn a new language at the same time, it's like a really great thing to consider.
Exactly. Because I mean, some people just don't, it's just really a cost barrier for some people. Because I mean, these trips can run between like 1,000 to 3,000 for like 2 to 4 weeks, you know? But yeah, it's really worth it if you treat it like a vacation where you get room, you get like boarding, food, experiences, you know, like lessons as well. Yeah.
And you said people like make you meals and stuff too.
Exactly. So you don't even have to cook your own dinner. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Who doesn't? Yeah. I don't want to cook my own dinner all the time, especially trying it from a new country. Like,
yeah, right? Yeah. Because they're cooking you their meals. Yeah.
Yeah. So technology like AI tutors and VR immersion are slowly changing language in education. Do you see these tools helping or hurting the human side of learning?
I think it helps because you do, as much as there are people out there who would disagree with me, but I do think it helps because you have people who aren't confident. Mm-hmm. However, practicing with these AI tutors or the VR immersion, you kind of build up that confidence a little. Of course, in my mind, I would say that do this with technology, like practice this way with technology, but at the same time, ensure you're complementing it with real life because you can't live in that bubble, right? Yeah. So for example, Duolingo came up with a feature where you can have a video call with Lily, which is one of their characters, and it's not very interactive as you need it to be. Okay. She's like, bonjour, and you're like, bonjour, comment ça va? Je vais bien. And like, it's just static because she's not really reading your personality and seeing that you're being light and funny. She's like, oh, ça va. Okay. Au revoir. And I'm like, I wasn't even done talking yet. Yeah. Wow. So it's there's still going to be that gap where it's not a human. So you can't connect. You can't laugh at jokes genuinely. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it has a place where you can just start talking and practicing, like talking to the mirror. Because when you're learning a language, you should talk in the mirror a lot. That's good. So this could be somewhat kind of your talk in the mirror moment. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like you kind of miss body language at that point too, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're speaking a language and like you say something, maybe you didn't say it the correct or proper terms.
Exactly.
Maybe you could see the other person receiving the conversation like kind of flex a bit.
Exactly.
And then you'd know like, maybe I didn't say that right. Maybe I have to look at that again.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the little things that you have to think about, it's like, this is not a real human. So you practice the very basic stuff, but when you're ready for, like to go out there, you should definitely go out there and practice with humans because that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like what you said too, when you do go, into another country and then you speak to people, it's nice to know that not everybody will kind of be opposed to that. Yeah. Because sometimes people are thinking like, oh, well, if I say the wrong thing, then they'll just start talking to me in English. Like I've seen that happen to people sometimes online. But if you're saying like, you talk, you have conversations, just go for it. You come back with more confidence. Like that's a really good thing to remember.
And you do have people who have switched on me. I just keep speaking.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't care. I just keep speaking in French or Spanish. It's like, that's your problem. That's not my problem.
Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So you're an avid traveler and your degree specializes in languages and international relations. Can you share how your personal language learning story inspired you to start your own consultancy?
Yeah. So living in France for 7 months, it was amazing. And at the time I did it, I think I was like 22, just finished university. So like, if your kids ever need an idea for a gap year, like do it. Like it's the perfect idea for a gap year. Because, you get some sort of independence too. Yeah. And it's just perfect. But like learning a whole new system, meeting new people at the time, my friends and I really hung out a lot with Erasmus kids. So Erasmus is, I believe it's like a scholarship in Europe. And yeah, like they would normally have events, like a lot of events for their students. So they hosted a lot of like language exchange. And that was the thing that stuck with me the most. But I don't do it currently on the scale that they did it because like they would have a Spanish table, a French table, an English table, Portuguese, Arabic, like several different languages. Wow. And if you want to speak that language, you go sit down at that table and hope someone comes over there and speak with you, right? And you change languages as you change table. But when I saw that, that's what sparked the initial idea where I was like, okay, I need something like this. At the time, I was going to go back home to Jamaica. And I was like, yeah, I need something like this in Jamaica. However, I didn't start it. And then I moved to Canada in 2019 and I was like, you know what? I think now's the time, because like I was seeing so many people who are like, wow, your French accent is so beautiful. And I'm like, thank you. And they're like, where did you learn French? And when I told them, they were so impressed. And I was like, they're like, wow, how do we, like prepare and like, learn it like you did. And that's when the idea came up. I was like, you know what? I could just built a business that focuses on how people can get into these different programs, how people can also like practice if you can't travel or you can't afford the experience. You know what I mean? So that's where the real idea came from. Just like doing that with languages. And I mean, I made a bet with my high school teacher as well in the 11th grade.
Okay. So
that I would not teach languages because she was like, if you learn a language, the only job that's going to really be out there for you in a career is teaching. And I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. And I take that very seriously.
Yeah, you held yourself accountable.
Exactly. Yeah. So initially my goal was to become an interpreter because I watched that movie with Nicole Kidman when I was like 11 or 12, The Interpreter.
Nice. Okay.
And then afterwards I was like, I can still do that, but I want to do this too. So I'm going down this road, and then hopefully in a few years I can become an interpreter. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I feel like this is fun and it definitely fills a gap. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's great. So one last question for the podcast.
Yeah.
Is there one person you've met on your journey that's helped implant an idea, value, or process that completely changed the trajectory of your life?
Yeah. I feel like there's so many, but like one, it's 2025. In 2023, I signed up for a program, the Changemaker program. It's actually local. And the founder, Mona Abo, like the way she teaches just about mindset is crazy. Like mindset was a part of the incubator program, like mental wellness and mindset, which is a big thing that founders go through because you have such big imposter syndrome running a business. You're like, me doing this? What? No.
Yeah.
So, like working with her and hearing how she speaks, and she's like, okay, but let's look at that. Like how can we change this? Or, like just look at things in a different way. And she's like, okay, but pause here, examine this, try this. And then if it doesn't work out, you move on to something else. You know what I mean? It's like she really had an impact in how I thought about things. And I don't want to say that after doing that program, it really changed how I approached business. And that was the same year that I launched my French course, my beginner's French course, because I was like, you know what? Stop overthinking it. Just do it. Because I had the idea for so long. And then again, her and we met up over, I think it was earlier this year. Yeah. And I was telling her about this new idea, the Language Society. And then she was like, yeah, just take your time. You know what you're doing. Like she ensured me on that. She was like, you know what you're doing. Just slow down, take your time, think about it, and execute. And here we are now. She's really powerful in that sense,
That's amazing. It's great to have that support too,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Like egging you on, like start.
Exactly. Because you can really just like, imposter syndrome can really just take over.
Yeah.
And you will not move.
Right. And it gets worse when you're tired too. So everybody get enough sleep.
Right. Especially after a long day of work, you're like, do I really need to do this?
Yeah, did I do everything right? Or like, what's going on here? And I feel like too, like you said, like you can learn everything from a textbook, but you actually have to go out and start, talking to people and interacting to actually get that skill down. So even with business, you can know X, Y, and Z about building a business, but you only know and get better at it by executing it.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
that's a great tip. And that's a great thing to look at.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm probably going to look at learning French again. Yeah. So yeah, made language learning fun.
Right?
Yeah. She did that before the podcast. But is there anything else you want to add or?
No, just that, like if you are learning a language and you're learning it traditionally, that's fine, but just find fun ways to learn the language. That's all I would say. Like just add some fun to it and you would see how much you would improve. I'm from the school of Paul Pimsleur. Like he's a big thought leader in the space. And like that's just like I've read his work and that's just the main thing he's always spoken about. Like everyone can learn a language. It's just how you're learning a language that makes a difference. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Attianna.
Yeah, thank you.